Yes.
Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. Still got a few minutes to go, so make yourselves comfortable, grab a drink, stretch your legs, and we're getting started in 4 minutes. Good to see some familiar faces already. Hi, Mark. Hi, Lisa. Welcome, everybody else. Whilst you're waiting, it's a good opportunity just to share who you are and where you're from. So maybe to the chat function, your name and where in the world that you're coming from. We generally tend to get quite a broad and diverse audience from all around the world. So yeah, let us know who you are and where you're from.
Okay. Oh, mine doesn't work. Yeah, my chat isn't working. I can't seem to type.
So I believe that was Mark that said that if you just on the top navigation bar, the left button is chat. If you click that, you should find that it pops up.
Yeah, I got it to pop up, but it won't let me type in it. Yeah, for some reason it won't let me type in the chat box. Don't usually have an issue with this. I'm going to try popping out and popping back in again and see if that does it.
No worries. Just another minute or so to go and we'll be getting started.
She went to one.
How many of you have got goals that you'd like to achieve in your life in general, potentially this year? That's just me then?
Yes.
Excellent, fantastic. At least one other. Good to hear. How many of you would like to learn some effective strategies to achieve your goals? Okay, a couple of you. Wonderful. And how many of you don't have any goals and not sure that you want to learn any effective strategies to achieve them and just here because it felt like something good to do for the next hour? Okay, great. Fantastic. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Neil Shah. I'm head of an organization called the Stress Management Society. We are an international non-profit organization that I set up now 22 years ago, actually, with the remit of creating a happier, healthier, more resilient world. And during that period, we also set up a research and consultancy organization through which we work with some companies on the planet. And really, I think the key thing here is that we've had the opportunity to understand and observe the human experience and how that has been changing over time. We live in a world of demands, of pressures, of relentlessness. You know, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, we're always on, plugged into our technology, which means that we often don't get time to stop, to reflect, to think about how do we create the life we want rather than ending up with the hand that you've been dealt. And that's really what I would like to share with you today. Today is just the guidance for the exercise. Exercise is the gift that we're going to give you at the end of the session, which you can do in your own time. But really, we've looked at, particularly with some of our corporate clients, how do we map success? Success is a formula, whether that be across an organization or an individual level, sporting, financial, health goals, whatever it is, there is a formula, a structure to being able to achieve that. If you understand the recipe, you can apply that recipe to all aspects of life. And that's really what we're going to be discussing and exploring today, is how you can go about that, which will then prepare you and equip you to do the exercise itself, which is how you can essentially map out a plan to achieve the success that you desire in 2025. This is a tool actually we created about 20 years ago, and every year at Christmas we give it out free of charge to everyone on our mailing list. So for those of you who get our newsletter, you've probably already received the tool. But what we've never done is attach a session to give a bit more context and some guidance as to how to effectively complete that tool. So that's what today's about. So as much as we've been providing this tool for a very long time, this is the first time we've actually spent time to equip people to get maximum benefit from it. Now, for those who've attended our sessions before, now let's just get a bit of a sense. How many of you have been to one of our sessions before? We've been running these webinars for a couple of years now. Typically always get, you know, at least 500 to 1,000 people that sign up and at least a few hundred that attend live. So we can see that a few of you that have been before, great. It's always nice to have you back. If you're a first timer, welcome. We're so grateful to have you here. We do these sessions always absolutely free of charge because we want to be able to provide support and guidance to absolutely everybody that wants it and needs it. So money will never be a barrier to you being able to attend these sessions because they'll always be free. We will also be sharing this to our mailing list. So just so you're aware, this session is being recorded. The recording will be available to you and to everybody else that signed up to attend this session if they weren't able to attend live. You can also forward the recording to anyone that you feel might benefit. If anything sensitive or of a personal nature comes out in the course of this discussion, we will edit that out before sharing it. But otherwise, I want this to be a safe space where we can open up and share and discuss anything that is relevant. So as mentioned, we are the Stress Management Society. We're a non-profit organization. We're the research and consultancy. So International Wellbeing Insights is our research and consultancy arm. Through both sides of the organization, we've got a vision of creating a happier, healthier, and more resilient world. My goal today, with the support of my colleague Leah, give us a wave. The wonderful Leah is co-piloting for the first time. And the two of us are here to support you in considering how can you create a more happier, healthier, and resilient approach to your life this year so you can achieve the goals that you desire. So this workshop is actually a workshop. It's not a lecture. It's not a webinar. I'm not going to be just talking at you for the next hour. There's going to be lots of opportunities for you to interact. If you can, please put your cameras on. It's a lot nicer looking at actual human faces rather than initials in a screen. And also that means that when you're sharing and when we're kind of opening up, you know that you're in a room with real people. It's really interesting and fascinating that we've arrived at a point where people feel very comfortable turning their cameras off in an online or a virtual session. But if we were actually in a room together, in a conference room, and this was an actual meeting or a conference or a presentation, you wouldn't be able to turn your cameras off. Yet we've got so comfortable doing that in a virtual setting, and that's led to a lot of people not feeling quite as safe to open up because you don't know who's there in the room with you. So we always encourage people where possible, when you're in these sessions, turn your cameras on so we know that we're in a room with other real human beings. And as I said, there's going to be lots of opportunities for you to participate, ask questions, share your experiences, disagree, seek clarification, tell me to slow down, whatever you need over the next hour or so. Myself and my colleague Leah are here to support you. If you do put comments in the chat, every so often Leah will bring that into the conversation, just so the chat comments are also featured as part of our overall discussion. But also, as I said, like if you want to share something, please put your hand up, your virtual hand, and we'll unmute you. Okay, so sorry, Sue, I just noticed that you've been waiting since 1 o'clock. Hopefully you managed to get okay now. Fantastic. Okay, just a couple of quick ground rules, just to create the safety to wrap around our discussion today. And yeah, just double checking. Can you all see the presentation? Can you all see the slides with my face in the middle of them? Great, fantastic. So we have a small amount of time together, so let's just be mindful of time, giving everybody an opportunity that wants to be able to share and to participate in this discussion. So let's do our best to be fully present to this conversation. Quite easy to attend one of these kind of meetings and be working on something in the background and half listening or eating your lunch. For you to get maximum value, it needs you to do your bit. And the more you put in, the more you'll take out. So if you can limit distractions, turn other technology off, put it on silent so you can be fully present to this discussion. Do your 50%, as I've already said. Ask the questions, share your comments, share your thoughts, share your feedback. Be open, honest, and respectful. And also, if somebody shares something you don't agree with or you don't subscribe to, that's okay. They're entitled to their perspective as you're entitled to yours. Have an open mind to new ways of doing things, new approaches, new ideas. Use I statements. If you're making a statement, take ownership of that. So rather than speaking on behalf of everyone, in my opinion, I believe, I think. So you're taking ownership of any statements that you're making. And we're also asking for confidentiality. Anything that's discussed and shared in this room stays here in this room. So basically, Vegas rules. The only caveat to that is safeguarding. If somebody does mention anything in this room that impacts your safety or the safety of others, that's the only time that the rules of confidentiality will be broken. And that's purely for safeguarding reasons. So there is some resource material that accompanies today's session. And there's a guidebook and a handbook. So essentially, some people often reach out after and say, can we have the slides? The slides have been put together in the format of what we call a purple paper. It's our tongue-in-cheek version of a white paper, which basically covers everything that we're going to talk about today. In addition to that is the goal-setting tool itself. So Leah is going to drop that link into the chat. If you care about writing it down, just click that link. It'll open up in a browser and you've got that ready, or you can just save it somewhere. But that's everything that you need for this session. And that's all absolutely free of charge. I've just noticed there's a few comments around people that aren't able to see me. Is anyone actually able to see me? Can you see my face in the slides? Just drop me a thumbs up or let me know if you can see me. Okay, so some of you can see me and some of you can't. I think if you can't see me, interesting.
Sometimes this happens to me where you get a black screen and you just need to leave and then rejoin the session, or try rejoining on browser instead of the app, and then that usually works.
Amazing. Thank you, Georgia, for that feedback. Oh, Sarah, I can see you left and came back, and now I can see you. So, yeah, for those of you who can't see me, if you want to try leaving and come back, hopefully that will fix it. Or the other option is to join via our browser, and hopefully you can then see me.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Initially, I couldn't able to see your face. I just left and rejoin.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And fingers crossed that works for everybody else as well. So let's kick off. We're here to talk about success and achievement. How do you define success? What does that mean to you? That's an actual question, not a rhetorical one. So for this to work, I will need your feedback. So, from your perspective, what is success? How would you define it? If you had to describe success to someone that has no concept of it, how would you describe success to them?
Achieving your goals.
Achieving your goals, okay. Yeah. What else?
An empty to-do list.
Sorry, an endless to-do list.
Empty.
Oh, an empty to-do list. Okay, fantastic. I like that. I'm hoping when I grow up, I'll have an empty to-do list, but I'm yet waiting for that day to come. What else? Has anyone else got any thoughts?
Being happy.
Yeah.
Being happy. Okay. We could go into a whole nother conversation around what does that mean, but yeah, I get that. Any other
I think maybe
thoughts?
promotion, career progression.
Okay. Yeah. Career progression.
Seen... Yes, sorry, carry on.
Making a difference, being useful.
Okay. Yeah, making a difference, being useful. Jessica and then Julie.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, for me, success has seen growth in my juniors at work. Just if you think about it from a work perspective, personal life is just personal accomplishments, I suppose. It's very individual.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that's already coming out. Everyone's got a definition of success based on their perspective. So it's not a universal definition. Right? Julie, what's your perspective?
For me, it's when I've done something and I've done it really well and it's landed really, really well.
Great. So when it's landed really well, from whose perspective has it landed really well?
From the people that I'm dealing with, plus my perspective. So both sides, it's got to be equal.
Right. So it's not just the validation for externally, it's also got to feel good inside as well, right? Okay, fantastic. Now, as I said, there's some different perspectives here. I'm not here to tell you what's right and wrong and what you should use as your benchmark or definition of success. I'm just here to share with you my journey with this. And how I'd like to share my journeys, I've done a few things along the way. And this isn't like, look at me, I'm so great. Actually, it's more about the formula, the process I use to achieve these things. Not about the actions or activities themselves. So I've achieved a few things along the way. There's a couple of pictures of some of the things that I've achieved. And some of them basically went against what most people in my life believed about me. I was the kind of kid that was the last person to be picked for the football team at school. PE or physical ed, depending on where in the world you are, was never my strong point. I wasn't really blessed athletically. But over the years, I've managed to accomplish a few feats sportingly, including doing an Ironman triathlon and actually competing in many, many triathlons. Run 5 marathons now, climbed many mountains, including Mount Everest. Won many awards, business awards, Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. And what was it that allowed me to go on to achieve these things? It wasn't my physical ability. It wasn't my mental ability. It wasn't money. It was understanding there is a recipe for success. And you apply that recipe to any aspect of your life, and you're significantly further along the line to being able to achieve the success that you would like to. Does that make sense? It's a formula. And really, as I said, from my own perspective, I've been able to apply that formula to several different areas of my life and been able to achieve positive outcomes. That my friends, is what I would like to share with you today. To understand that this is something that we can replicate if we understand and don't leave it to chance. I'm not saying that circumstances and challenges will get in the way. What I'm talking about is increasing and maximizing your chances of success. Does that make sense? I'm not saying this is guaranteed that next year you'll be a millionaire, like Del Boy said, or I'm not saying guaranteeing next year you'll achieve all your goals in life. What I'm talking about is how can you significantly increase your chances of achieving that success? Does that make sense? What's the phrase? If you aim for the stars, you fall short of the moon, you've still done well. I think that's something that I've been able to prove to myself, that if I'm aiming high and I have a strategy and a structure and a commitment towards that, the chance of me being able to go on to achieve those goals massively increases. So as part of this, again, this isn't a sales pitch in any way, shape or form, but what's underpinning this is one of my background areas of expertise is a subject known as NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's not something I've packaged myself up as I'm an NLP coach or an expert, but it's the language patterns that I understood when training in this area and then going on to become a master trainer in this area are what underpin a lot of my success. Not in terms of my language with others, more so my language with myself. Does that make sense? So if you want to understand my background into what led me to this path, I have written a book on the subject. There's a 10% discount. It's only £7 anyway. It's not a particularly expensive book. You can probably get it on Amazon for cheaper. But I'm just letting you know, if you want to understand what underpins my approach, it is NLP, and I've produced a book on it, which ended up somehow becoming an Amazon bestseller. So that book is there, and my lovely colleague Leah will put a link on where you can get that, as well as the discount code in the chat. So yeah, so if you keep an eye on the chat, all the information you need will be dropped in there. So when you think about your goals, what do you feel? What are the emotions that come to mind? Now we've dropped in a couple of examples. Some people feel angry, frustrated, depressed. Some people feel clear, relaxed, happy. What is it that you feel? It'd be really lovely to hear from some of you.
I feel all. Sorry, I feel all.
Yeah,
When I start to achieve my goals, I feel angry, frustrated, and depressed. But at the end of the day, when I achieve my goals, I feel obviously clear, relaxed, and happy.
Sorry, I think I lost you all for a second then. Yeah, who else would like to share? What is it that you feel when you think about your goals? Is it sort of positive feelings?
I think confused, maybe. Are they the right ones? Frustrated, can't see how to get there. Are they the right ones? Is it the right direction? Where have they come from? Set too many, all of those.
Okay, sure. Anyone else like to share? What else are you feeling or experiencing when you think about your goals?
Doubt.
Sorry, was that daft?
Doubt.
Doubt.
So,
Doubt.
yeah.
Okay. What else?
As an older woman in an organisation, by rights, I should have retired by now, but the world changed, so I'm not. There's a real sort of conflict of interest between achieving success where you are sort of almost deemed too old to employ in this job because you'll not be around much longer, and the pastoral care and colleague development mentoring side that has always been something about myself, and wanting to achieve both, but looking back and there comes a point when you're actually wondering what you've actually achieved relatively to what your goals have been at university, for example.
Okay, yeah, I get that. So we've got an expectation, and does our actual experience marry up to our expectations? So yeah, absolutely. And particularly in a world where social media is setting the benchmark high and you're looking at people's lives and wondering why your life doesn't look like that, we can often find ourselves feeling miserable and feeling like we're falling short. And the emotions we experience when we think about our goals will significantly influence our approach and our actions. How many would agree with that? What's going on up here will determine, am I going to take action? We ran a campaign a few years ago called #ChooseHope, because there was some research published by Harvard that was showing that people that have hope are significantly more likely to have better life outcomes. They're going to be healthier, happier, more successful in their careers, financially better off, have better relationships. Why? Why is that? Hope is just a feeling, right? How does hope result in better life outcomes? And as I said, this was recorded and tracked over a 30-year period by a Harvard study. How is it that hope translates to much better life outcomes?
Positivity.
Yeah.
Hope is being positive, isn't it?
You're right, Karen. It is being positive, but positivity in itself isn't going to give you better life outcomes.
It gives you purpose.
Yeah, you're more likely to strive and keep pushing, aren't you, if you've got a positive outlook.
And Karen, you're absolutely right. It's not the positivity in and of itself gives you better life outcomes. It's the hope that inspires action. It's the action that gives you better life outcomes. And would you agree you are more likely to be inspired to take positive actions when you have hope things can get better? If you have hope and belief that your health can improve, you're more likely to get off the sofa, go for a walk, go to the gym, do some exercise, eat healthy, get a good night's sleep. If you have hope you can do better in your career, you'll push yourself, you'll maybe take risks, you'll put yourself forward for promotion or apply for that job outside of your current scope of expertise, because that hope has inspired and driven action. If you have hope you can do better in your relationships, again, the action that is inspired as a result of that hope will give better life outcomes. So the first step is to choose hope, is to have the belief that the world can get better. Your world could get better. If we all collectively had the belief, there's 257 people on this call already. If we all collectively had the belief that we can create a better world than we find ourselves in today, and that hope-inspired action, how could that ripple out into our families, into our communities, into our workplaces, into our societies? But how many of you also agree that we find ourselves in a world where many people are losing hope? Because if you flick through social media or turn on the news or pick up a newspaper, we're constantly reminded of how bad things are. I don't believe that. I don't subscribe to that perspective. I think there's tremendous opportunity for hope and belief that things can get better. And I'm hoping that will inspire enough people into action. I'm hoping that our conversation today will inspire some action within you in your lives that results in better outcomes. I want to distill this down into 5 key things for you to reflect on and take away from today's session. 5 aspects of being able to kind of start roadmapping yourself to success. And we're going to just introduce them and then we'll talk about them in a little bit more detail. First one is master your little voice. Second one is visualize your success. Third one is use the language of success. Many people inadvertently end up using the language of failure because they haven't been trained and educated to how to change their language patterns to maximize their chance of success. The next one is to change your state. And with all of these, we'll go into them in much more detail. And the last one is dare to dream. How can you possibly ever achieve a lofty, hairy, audacious goal if you don't have one in the first place? And as I said, I'm not just coming at this from a theoretical perspective. I've applied this myself and I've set myself some big, hairy, audacious goals. I'd never accomplished anything of any kind of significance athletically when I decided to do an Ironman. People around me laughed. They said, there is absolutely no way that you're going to be able to do that. But it was essentially using this process and daring to dream of doing something that on paper, I had no I had no experience or qualification to dare to do something like that, but I crossed the finish line. And it's using these 5 steps that helped me to do so, as well as all the other things I've accomplished. So I'd just like to talk you through these steps in a little bit more detail, which in turn will set you up to do the exercise, which we're going to equip you to do at the end of the session. So the first one, master your little voice. What does that mean? How many of you have a little voice in your head that's talking to you every day, all day long? I can see 2 hands going up. The rest of you, wow, if you've been able to get rid of that little voice, meditation masters take lifetimes to be able to even get to grips with that voice. Whether you recognize it or not, every single one of you has a little voice. In fact, that little voice is talking to you right now saying, don't put your thumb up, this is stupid. If you put your thumb up, he might talk to you. Or better not put my camera on because people might see that I'm actually not really paying attention here. Whatever your voice is saying to you, it's talking to you right now. It's been talking to you since you've been able to communicate. And it will be talking to you as long as you're able to communicate to the outside world. And for most people, even when we lose the physical ability to communicate, the voice is still going off inside our heads. Does that make sense? But is that little voice your friend or your enemy? Who'd like to share the kind of things that your little voice says to you typically? Got lots of people with their hands up to acknowledge they've got a little voice. What is your voice saying to you? What's the general dialogue you have with your little voice?
I tend to have the what Terry Pratchett, one of Terry Pratchett's characters, didn't have an invisible friend, she had an invisible enemy.
Okay.
And it's something about particularly, I think, my generation, and particularly women in my generation, is that there is a blame culture. You drop something, oh, you stupid person. You make a mistake, oh, you stupid person. Something goes wrong, I should have known that was going to happen. And it's those kind of things that reinforce and become self-fulfilling prophecies unless you counter them.
Thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, you're right. So I've got a couple of hands going up, and then I'm going to get Leah to share what's coming up in the chat. So Joanna Malaquias, I hope I pronounced that correctly. What would you like to share about your little voice?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, sorry, I just made a mistake. I just wanted to say yes, I hear an internal voice.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry.
Thank you. All good. Patricia,
Thank you.
would you like to share the kind of dialogue you have with your little voice?
Hi, they love having a little game with each other. So one will be positive, and then the negative will come in, and they want to just sort of have a batting game. I put it like a tennis game. And I have worked on one strategy of sort of with the negative to sort of say, I hear you, but not now. And that works sometimes.
Great, fantastic. I like that. So you put it on hold.
Yeah.
This is the hold music. We're busy at the moment, but thanks for your input. Yeah, absolutely. Great.
But it's very easy for the negative one to take over. As soon as you start giving it any space, it's amazing how quickly the momentum builds and the positive one has lost the game. You know,
so the negative one can be a bully. That voice probably was developed from childhood experiences, maybe how an adult spoke to you when you were a child, and it kind of developed this kind of character, which isn't you, but that character is living rent-free in your mind and bossing you around and dictating the quality of your life. Absolutely. So that's a really good observation. I think so. It's time to write that character out of the story. It's time to kill that character off from the soap opera, so some of the other characters can actually really start to flourish. Love that. Thank you, Patricia. Leslie, let's hear from you, and then we'll go to the chat. And Trevor, we're going to come back to you after we've heard from the chat, if that's okay. Leslie, what would you like to share?
Yeah, just I probably have got 2. I didn't realise I got 2 till that lady said she got 2. So I have the really negative one, and the one that tries to stop the really bad things happening. So I have one that says, no, just go to bed. You don't need anything else to eat, because I'm always constantly trying to lose weight. And the one that says, no, you're not tired. Please get up and go to the gym. And then the other one goes, no, just turn the alarm off. Just have a bit more sleep. So on a really good day, I can listen to the one that's saying, no, you don't need anything, and chuck myself out of bed and do me coach personal training classes at 7 in the morning. But the minute anything upsets the equilibrium, which is quite easy for me at the minute, I've got quite a lot going on at work and personally as well. And I'm widowed, so I'm still grieving. It's only a few years since I lost my husband. That the negative one just overwhelms me and says, there's no point even trying, because you're not going to succeed.
And, you know, Leslie, Patricia, and everybody else, you don't have to. Some people think, oh, we've got a positive and negative one. Most people, on average, have a cast of characters that extends to about 20 or 30 different characters. You will have the version at work, the version with your friends, the version with your family. You know, you've got the bossy one, you've got the angry one, you've got the hiding from the rest of the world one, and they're all got different names, and none of them are Patricia, Leslie, Trevor, Karen. You know, they've all got unique characters. They've all got unique origin stories. But every single one of us has this classic inner child. This is classic inner child work, by the way, that most people don't realize, that we as individuals are a construct of dozens of characters that have been developed from growing up, from childhood, from our careers, from relationships. And each of those characters was developed to navigate a certain aspect of your life. May have been born from trauma, may have been born from life experience. When we start to understand those characters and the need those characters have, but also understand that underneath all of that is the true authentic version of ourselves that often doesn't get heard, that doesn't get their needs met. And as I said, if you go into kind of a coaching or a therapeutic process and they do inner child work, that's what they're going to get you to connect with. What is the true version of yourself? What I'm asking you to consider, is there a little voice that's really quiet in the background that you don't listen to much, but really needs you to be there for them? Because here's the thing, all of those voices are you. You get to decide what they sound like, how loud they are. And that angry voice, you know, Leslie, Patricia, you talked about that angry or negative voice. What if it sounded like Donald Duck or Homer Simpson? What if it was a high-pitched squeal or really low volume? Would it have the same power? No, right? Who gets to decide what it sounds like? You do, because you created the voice. Power is the ability to do or act. So the next time you've got that little voice telling you to do something that's taking you away from what is going to best serve you, change the volume, change the accent, change the quality of it. Make it sound ridiculous. I promise you, it won't have the same power over you. It only has power because it's loud and angry and it's shutting out every other voice. So, Leah, what do we have in the chat? What are people sharing in the chat regarding their little voice? Oh, Leah, we can't hear you if you are speaking. You seem to have lost Leah. You there, Leah?
Hello.
Oh, okay, got you now.
No, I think it was the headphones.
No worries. Would you like to share some of the comments in the chat people have shared about their little voice?
Yes, I was just saying that there's a lot of great conversations going on. A lot of people are talking about imposter syndrome. Someone said the voice depends on the situation, the environment at the moment. Someone said you cannot do this. They will find out that you are not capable, etc. So negative thoughts. Someone said my voice tells me that I'm not good enough. I'm a fraud. Someone else said, so a few people actually said that they love the idea of changing the perspective and how your voice sounds, but it seems like a lot of people are just saying that they feel like they're a fraud and maybe they're not good enough.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. Thank you, Leah. If you think you're not good enough, you're right. If you think you are good enough, you are also right. Because what you believe will determine what you achieve. Does that make sense? And often we talk ourselves out of our true potential. part of this is, yes, absolutely have hairy, audacious goals and envision what you'd like to achieve. But that in itself is not going to guarantee success. Following this roadmap is going to better equip you to do so. So be aware of that little voice. And if you've got that little voice that's trying to hold you back or tell you not to do that, remember, it has a positive intention even behind negative behaviors. What do you think might be the positive intention when your little voice is saying, oh, don't bother going to the gym, or just stay in bed, or just snooze the alarm a little bit more, or don't bother with that healthy diet? What do you think the positive intention might be?
Is that self-protection? Is that protecting yourself where you're fearful that you might not succeed? You're allowing yourself to not attempt it so that you don't fail?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. It's a safety mechanism. It's very much stay in your lane, stay in the comfort zone. But growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. We have to step outside the comfort zone to grow. And yes, you know what? If you do get up and go for a 5-mile run or go to the gym, it might be uncomfortable and painful. You might be sore afterwards, but you'll have grown. Does that make sense? Sometimes having to push yourself in your career or to take risks to do something different might feel challenging. And in order to keep you safe, your ego is trying to keep you in your comfort zone. So essentially, this is where we could turn to that little voice and say, you know what, thank you for your advice and your feedback, but I got this. I can handle this. It's all good. I appreciate your input. So don't go to war with yourself, but actually just being able to have an internal conversation with your little voice. So it's not your enemy. And you can understand its reasons for encouraging said behavior. So starting to build a dialogue and master your little voice means that it becomes your ally rather than your enemy. Step 2, visualize your success. What do you think I mean by that? Now, when I first started talking about this like 20 odd years ago, a lot of people thought this sounds a bit hippie and woo-woo. This sounds very much law of attraction kind of thing. But now actually, we work in professional sports. I've worked with football teams. I work with cricket teams, professional athletes. Sports psychology spends huge amounts of money, time, and effort on ensuring people understand the psychology of success. What do you think it means to visualize your success?
It's about if we don't know what success looks like, we don't know when we've got there. And the thing about vague ideas just don't give you enough. If I was shooting an arrow with a bow, I have to have a target, because otherwise just aiming at a tree, what's the point?
Absolutely. Thank you, Cynthia. You need to be looking at where you want to go. If you're riding a bike, you're driving a car, you're on a set of skis, if you're looking over here and you want to go straight, you're going to end up veering off direction. You need to be facing and looking at the direction you want to go in. If you're kicking a football, taking a penalty kick, for example, you need to be looking at where you want the football to end up for it to end up there. It's amazing how many people want to achieve success in this direction, but they spend their life looking over here. I want to have better health. I want to have more fitness. I want to have better relationships. I want to have more money. But I'm always looking at, oh, I really don't want X, Y, and Z. You're looking at what you don't want rather than what you do want. I'm not just going to say this to you. I'm going to do a little exercise to prove this to you. So this isn't just a woolly notion. For you to have practical understanding of what happens when we change our internal perspective. So really quick exercise. This is going to involve you having to move your body. So what we're going to be doing in a moment, we're going to stand up. So I'm going to ask you, wherever you are, to be able to stand up. As long as you can see me, that's fine. I'll talk you through the exercise before we get started. So essentially, your feet don't move in this exercise. All you're doing is you're twisting back on yourself as far as you can go. So we're going to do that together in a moment. This is nothing to do with how flexible or strong or fit you are. It's just to get a base level reading, right? So hold your hand out in front of you and just gently keep twisting until you've got as far as you can go. Make a mental note of where your fingers are pointing to. So have a look at where your fingers are pointing to, then come back to the front, drop your hands, stay exactly where you are. You can stay standing, but just close your eyes. And we're going to visualize, we're going to use our imagination just for about a minute or so. And just imagine we've got to the end of this session, it's 2 o'clock, and you think that you're going to go back to the rest of your day, go back to work or go back to whatever else you would do. But a message pops up in your inbox to say, as a reward for attending today's session, there's been a special prize allocated to you. And that prize is, you just need to go outside your front door and the prize will be waiting for you. And as you go outside your front door, this luxury limousine pulls up. The door opens and you're invited in. You're given a glass of something bubbly and you're told that you're being whisked away to a secret destination. The limousine pulls up outside the most luxurious spa hotel in the middle of this tranquil countryside, a place so unimaginably beautiful that your jaw drops. You're led inside and you're greeted by these incredible therapists that lead you to these treatment areas, and you are literally pampered all afternoon. And maybe you sit in the hot tub or the sauna, you have a massage, a facial reflexology, whatever it is that is going to allow you to feel absolutely incredible. As you get to the end of this afternoon of being pampered and relaxed, we're then led into a banquet hall and all our friends and family are there, and you're surprised that there is a celebration of you. And we ended up having an evening of beautiful food and laughter and music and joy and fun. And we get to the end of the evening, and just when you think that it's now time to go home, you're then led off to the top of this hotel where we've got this luxury presidential suite that's been set up for you. And you walk into this room, you see the most incredible room, most beautiful bed you've ever laid eyes on, and you collapse into this bed and end up having the best night's sleep you've ever had. You cannot remember a time you've slept so well. And you wake up in the comfort of this luxurious presidential suite of this hotel, and you jump out of bed feeling more incredible than you've ever felt ever before in your whole entire life. And you decide to test how good it is you feel by doing that exercise you did with Neil yesterday afternoon. But this time we're just going to do it in our mind's eye. We're not going to actually do it, but just imagine in your mind's eye, you get to the point where yesterday you couldn't go any further. You reach yesterday's physical limit. But the things that held you back yesterday cannot physically hold you back today, because today you're more relaxed, more energized, more flexible. You've got more vitality, more vim, more vigor. You feel so incredible that things held you back yesterday cannot possibly hold you back today. And just see yourself going 10 centimeters, 15, 20 centimeters more than you went yesterday. 25, 30, 40, 50 centimeters more than you went yesterday. And you find as you push a little bit harder, you become more flexible. As you become more flexible, you become more relaxed. As you become more relaxed, you go even further. And before you know it, you've gone 75, 80, 90, a meter, a whole meter more than you went yesterday. Just be aware of all these incredible, wonderful changes that have occurred in your body to allow you to go that extra meter. Just ask yourself, just ignore those wonderful, comfortable feelings for a moment. Just ask yourself, if you push a little bit harder, will you become even more flexible? If you become even more flexible, will you go even further? If you go even further, will you feel even better? And before you know it, you've got 1.5 meters, 2 meters more than you went yesterday. And do a final scan of your body from the top of the head to the tip of the toes to take into account all of the changes that have occurred. And when you're ready, in your own time, I'd like you to open your eyes. And with your eyes open, we're going to put our arms up and actually do that exercise again. Just twist back on yourself and see what happens. And when you're ready, have a seat. How many of you went a little bit further the second time? See lots of hands going up. Why? What's the reason you went further the second time round? Anyone got any thoughts?
I felt relaxed.
Because you're relaxed? People always say that it's because they're more relaxed. It's not. That's not it, because we've done this exercise after people have done breathing exercises and all kinds of other things. It's not because you're relaxed. What other reasons do you think may have resulted in you having a better outcome the second time you did the exercise?
Because you gave me confidence that I could do it.
But okay, Leslie, that's interesting.
Belief.
Would you agree the first time you went as far as you thought you could go?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right? So you went as far as you thought you could go.
Yeah.
That, my friends, is the problem. The first time you went as far as you thought you could go, You stopped not when you reach your body's limit, when you reach your mind's limit. Your mind said, all right, that's enough. Through the visualization exercise, and we allowed you to believe you could go further. When you went to do it, you actually got to your body's limit. So it's highly unlikely many of you went a whole 2 meters further, but you definitely went further than you went the first time. Would you agree with that, right? And most people actually go significantly further. We're not talking about a couple of centimeters. You go, quite a bit further, because our minds end up becoming our biggest barriers. Again, I'm talking from my own life experience. I stopped myself from doing things I was capable of because my mind said you can't do that. When I told my mind I can do that, I was astonished at what I was capable of. And I'm going to put it to you, every single one of you, all 250 odd of you, have, and the hundreds or thousands more that are watching this as a recording, you can go much further than your mind tells you can. And I'm not asking anyone to do anything that causes pain or discomfort, but test your true limit, not your mind's limit. Does that make sense? And you've just proven that to yourself. If you're able to go further, you know that there's more capacity that you have in your life than you're currently being able to enjoy. And this is really where it's worth kind of playing with that. Now, some people say, well, I didn't go further the second time round. What usually happens is they can't see themselves going further. Does that make sense? That when we do the visualization, I went as far as I could the first time, I'm not going to be able to go any further. So they can't actually visualize a better outcome, which is then often why they can't actually physically go any further the second time around. So that's also interesting when people have that. So always consider, where do I want to end up? What do I want to be able to achieve? Rather than what my mind is telling me. So this is an important additional step. The next is the language of success. So if I say to you, I'm going to maybe possibly try to help you to better understand what we're talking about here. Do you believe me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Anyone have doubts if I say I maybe possibly will try to see if I can help you?
Definitely doubting.
Doubt? Okay.
I don't doubt that you're going to try, but I'm not sure you're going to succeed.
Yeah.
What might give away the fact that I'm not 100% fully committed to helping you? Sarah Pugh, you said my language is vague. Would you mind expanding on that? So give us a little bit more about what you mean by that. What's giving you a sense that my language is vague? Or anyone else for that matter?
You're not committed.
I'm not committed. Okay.
Just not confident. You're not enthusing in any confidence, instilling confidence that you know what you're doing by changing that language.
Okay. Yeah. So
it doesn't sound like you believe it.
I don't. I'm actually using as much as I can to get out of trying to help you with the language I'm offering you. I am going to share with you from a galactic master. The wisdom that this galactic master offers us encapsulates everything that we're talking about. And the galactic master I'm talking about is Master Yoda. For those of you who are familiar with Yoda, the little green guy, when Luke was was doing his training, Dagobah was the planet he was on. It was just him and Master Yoda. And Master Yoda is encouraging him to use the Force to get his X-Wing fighter out of the swamp. And Luke was saying to him, I am trying, Master Yoda, I am trying. And his response to that, as Sarah said, do or do not. There is no such thing as trying. Many of us spend our lives trying and wonder why we don't get results. Do it or don't do it. And be aware of the language. Forget the language you use with others. But if you use woolly language with yourself, do you trust yourself? If you say to yourself, I'm going to try and do that, you're already giving yourself a get out clause. If you're going to try and go for a run tomorrow, there's a 50-50 chance you're going to do it. If you tell yourself the night before, I'm going for a run tomorrow, It doesn't matter if it's raining or -5 or snow on the ground, you're going to get out there and do it. Does that make sense? And when you don't trust yourself, when your word to yourself is not solid, you've already set yourself up for failure. Does that make sense? Whether you say things to other people and you break other people's trust, that's one thing, but breaking trust with yourself is the worst thing you can do, because then you don't trust your own word. And when I started to make statements to myself and know that that statement, I am going to make a commitment and honor that, I started to change my relationship with myself. And every so often I get into a pattern where I'm breaking my relationship with myself and being woolly with myself, and I start to lose trust with myself. So that is the language of success, but also be aware of words like but. Stephen, I really value your input, but I wish you hadn't shared that. What am I doing negating everything before the but? Now, again, I'm very much right now focused on your language with yourself, but also this translates to your language with others. Can't. The moment you say I can't do that, you're right. The moment you say you can do that, you'll find a way to do it. Yeah. Having worked with lots of different people, having had the chance to meet military veterans that had lost limbs and then ended up going up to the top of Mount Everest and getting to the North Pole. Can't didn't exist for them. It was more like, yes, there are barriers, but I will find a way to accomplish this. I was so inspired by people that have less than we have that are able to accomplish more, because they've had to believe in themselves and bank on themselves and change their relationship with themselves to be able to go on to achieve such things. And also, the 3 most dangerous words in the English language, when you put them together, are I know that. Why are those 3 words so dangerous when you put them together? I know that.
It's finite.
Yeah. Also, you shut down. Would you agree? When you say I know that, you check out. It's like, I don't need to pay attention to this anymore. I don't need to listen. It's not important because I already know it. And we shut ourselves down for being open to new ideas. So just be aware of the language that you have with yourself. The next thing, change your state. The quickest way to change your psychology is to change your physiology. Would you agree with that? If you're feeling down in the dumps, you go for a walk, you get some fresh air, you feel better, right? You do some exercise, you stretch, you do some yoga, take the dog out, play with your family, watch something funny, have a laugh. If you change your state, you change how you feel. And you already know this because we did a state change a minute ago with the arm turn exercise. And when you've changed your state, through that, it's like, oh, wow. It's also had an impact. So there are really simple ways to be able to change your state. As I said, we're talking about laughter, movement, stretching, even something as simple as stopping and taking a breath, doing some mindfulness, having a chat with a friend, going off and getting some fresh air, using the stairs instead of the lift. Anything that changes the state of your body is going to change the state of your mind. Anything that changes the state of the mind is going to change the state of the body. The 2 are interconnected. So I could spend a lot longer talking about that, but I think this is a pretty self-explanatory bit. And the last point of our 5 steps is dare to dream. Now, if you have a dream and you're committed to it, you'll find a way of making that happen. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. One dream was a free South Africa for all peoples. At no point did he get angry and cynical and start hating on the people that put him in prison. He just kept focused on his dream. And every day took steps towards achieving that. Got trained and qualified to become a barrister. He did his boxing. He took steps and actions every single day. In fact, when he came out, he didn't get distracted from his dream. He didn't seek revenge and retribution for those that had put him in prison. It was still that singular-minded approach to what he wanted to achieve. And it took most of his lifetime, but he achieved it. And history will remember him well. And I'm sure there are many other figures in historical, whether real or imagined, whether we're talking about Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Krishna, whoever, historical religious figures, whoever they are, who had a vision and a dream and followed that through to its fruition, regardless of the consequences. They're remembered today and they changed the world. but they were just like us. They were people that understood how to follow their dreams through to fruition. What I'm saying to you here is, what is your dream and how committed are you to it? Because if you're committed enough, you'll find a way. And yeah, and I see obviously the Cynthia, without a vision, the people perish. And we do need a vision, particularly right now. The world's a really wild place. There's lots of interesting and crazy things going on. The more of us that believe in, for example, my vision is to create the world that John Lennon sang about in the song Imagine. And if enough of us believe that, it would be the world we live in, right? And that's really what I'm encouraging you all to consider. What do you do? What world do you want to live in? And how are you living your life every single day and taking actions towards creating that for yourself, for your children, for your grandchildren, for your family, for your community? Because that's how we make a positive change. And one of the reasons we wanted to share this freely, because the more people that are stepping forward and starting to realize their visions and their dreams, the better the world becomes for all of us. Now, in the documents that you're going to get, there's an opportunity for you to actually start to reflect on what you want from your lives. We're encouraging you to be very specific, measurable, to set goals that are, should I say, very specific, measurable, achievable, they're relevant. You have a time frame attached to when you want to achieve that, but also they're your goals, not your partner's goals, not your children's goals, not your manager's goals, not your parents' goals. These are things you want to achieve because you're going to be much more committed to things that you've bought into. So as I mentioned, there is a document on the link that Leah shared at the beginning. Leah, if you could put that link back in right now, that would be great. So you'll find this plan, and it's essentially a series of questions asking you to reflect on things that you did last year, goals that you got for this year, and mapping the successes of last year and the challenges you faced, how you overcame some of those challenges, and how you can bring that formula, that construct into this year's goals. So as I said, that's there for you to download, and again, feel free to share that with anyone that would benefit from it. The only thing we ask to protect the copyright, don't change it. As long as you're sharing it in its entirety, you are welcome to share it with anybody that's welcome to receive it. We did actually have someone one year that downloaded this, changed the cover, put their name on it and pretended it was theirs. And it was, you know, it was like, we're doing this for free. So please, all we ask is to honor that, because we've had a few experiences where people have got it, attempted to pretend that this was their document. Okay, now this is a homework exercise for you. It's now December 2025. What does your life look like now? What have you achieved over the last 12 months? What barriers did you face to achieve those 2025 goals? How did you overcome them? What are you most proud of? Now, remember when we did the arm turn exercise for the second time, you'd already seen it in your mind. I'm now going to ask you to think about, as part of your homework exercise, we've got to the end of this year. We're at the end of 2025, and you're looking back at a year filled with success, filled with achievement. What does your life look like as a result of that? What have you achieved? How did you achieve that? And if you're able to map that and look at it as if it's already done, you're much further along the path to success. So for those of you who attended our sessions before will know that knowledge is only power if you take action, if you apply it. So not power literally means the ability to do or act. So you need to take action for you to really get benefit from this session. Just listening for the last hour is not going to take you forward in your life. You're going to need to take some time to reflect on some things we've shared, to complete the document, to go through the SMART goal setting exercise, to do the reflection, the year in reflection, as if it's already been done. Yes, this requires a bit of time and a bit of effort. Maybe over the weekend, make yourself a cup of tea, find somewhere cozy and just lock yourself away for a couple of hours, because that in itself, that action could take you much closer towards achieving your desires and your goals and outcomes. In addition to this, there's loads of free resources on our website. Feel free to check that out for some more support. Leah will put the link into the website. We have, for those of you who are representing businesses, we've got our People, Culture and Wellbeing Forum that is now live. We have our our first meeting of the year happening on Friday. If you haven't already signed up, please feel free to join that if you'd like to understand how we can bring this benefit into your business. Got a range of different businesses that will be joining that one. So yeah, please feel free to join for that. We have our newsletter. If you've not received our newsletter before, you can sign up for that. Leila will pop the link into the chat. We also send a follow-up email with all the links that you need as well, if you need to jump off. We've got our Public Mental Health Champions course coming up, which many of our clients have rolled out, and Julie from Mars was here. We've deployed that across many of their associates. We've delivered this to many of our large corporate organizations. We've got a public version of this coming up in the very near future. So if you would like to join that, we've got a significant discount, a £200 discount, if you use the link to be able to join that one. What else do we need out in the way of announcements? We've got a new online learning platform called Wellbeing Protect. Again, we will drop in the link to that. So you can sign up for that and to be able to get the benefit from our online learning platform. And you can get 50% off for the rest of the month if you sign up using the link that we've shared. And also for any of you that are considering looking at putting in place an EAP for your organization, or are in the process of considering at some point in the near future reviewing your current program, we could support that. We aren't tied to any provider, but what we find is a lot of clients are not getting full benefit from their existing support provision. So we set up a service to be able to provide free consultation around how you can maximize the benefit you're getting from EAP provision within your business. So you can reach out to book in a free call for that if you'd like. If you do need help or support, you can reach out to us directly. There is the Samaritans, Silverline if you're a little bit older. Mind also provides support, and there's the Campaign Against Living Miserably. These resources, again, will be shared with you by email. We can only continue doing this because of the support we get from all the people that turn up. If you're able to donate even a small amount, it allows us to continue doing this work, because we do not get paid for this. We have no public funding for this. This is all self-funded and through the generosity of the people that are able to make small donations. So feel free to support us if you're able to. And the next session we've got is a little bit shorter time frame than normal. It's in a couple of weeks' time, and it's for Time to Talk Day. So that's our next free webinar. It's on the 6th of February, 1 to 2 o'clock, to celebrate Time to Talk Day. Thank you all so much for being here. We can only do this because so many of you keep showing up and booking onto these sessions. We really appreciate you. And as always, I will be staying on for a few minutes. If anyone has any questions, comments, or anything you'd like to discuss or share, I'm happy to hang out for a few minutes to continue the conversation. So thank you once again. It's been a pleasure being here to support you. And if not before, see you all next month.
Well, thank you very much. It's been wonderful.
Thanks, Mark. I can't see you, but I can hear your voice.
Ah, so the mic does work. Finally. It's only taken an hour. Must be the power of positive. Must be the power of positive thinking. I'll catch you next time, Neil. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah, wonderful. See you then.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you all. As I said, if anyone does have any questions or anything you'd like to discuss or share, we'll hang out for a few more minutes before we close the meeting. But once again, we very much appreciate you being here.
Hi, Neil. Hi. I just wanted to say thank you very much. That was sorry, I was lurking in the background. I haven't commented. I did drop a few notes in the chat. And Matt from Worthing Council down on the south coast. But yeah, that was great. It was really inspirational stuff. Sometimes it's stuff you've heard before, but having it reiterated and laid out in the way you did, I think, yeah, it's fantastic. So thank you very much.
It's interesting. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you sharing that. It's interesting. One of the points I shared, that the whole I know that we live in a world where we have access to so much information. It's not that we've got a lack of knowledge, we've got a lack of application. And I think these sessions have always been designed not about giving more information, but about compelling action, because I think that's what we need more in the world. If we're going to make positive changes, we need more people that are willing to take actions for themselves, for their colleagues, for their communities, for their societies, for us as a species. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. That's always been our kind of primary remit, is how can we support people in taking action, because that's where you get the benefit.
Yeah, no, that's great, thank you. Yeah, I guess you're going to send out some of the stuff, are you? Or
yeah,
or not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, great.
We'll drop out an email, probably be tomorrow now, which all the links, all the information, the resources, where to get access to everything will be on that email. So if you haven't written anything down or you didn't record the links, don't worry, because it'll be in your inbox within the next sort of 24 hours, as long as you're on our mailing list. If you found your way to this session without being on our newsletter, then you're not going to get it, because we only have email addresses for people on our newsletter. So do you get our newsletter?
I don't think I do, so but I can obviously follow your links and look it up. Yeah.
So how did you end up on this session?
Someone sent it around internally on our intranet. You must have found
okay.
it. So I could tap her up, actually. I'll speak to her.
Yeah, so whoever sent it to you must be on our mailing list. But what I'm going to do is I am just going to, for anyone else who's still here that is not on our mailing list, if you just drop an email to the email address in the chat, which is info@stress.org.uk, we'll make sure you're added to the mailing list before the newsletter goes out, because otherwise you're just going to miss all the resources. So Matt, if that's good, just drop it, even if it's a one line like a newsletter, to info@stress.org.uk. We'll make sure you're added and you get all our future resources and information.
I got it. Yeah, I can see it. Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you, Matt. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for your time. All the best. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you, everybody. I'm going to close the meeting now. Thanks for joining and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.